Hi, let me take this opportunity to welcome you to my channel. Thank you for stopping by and spending your time on checking my video. This is a demo of my new course, Django Learning Management System. I have included the link to the course on description. So if you are interested in taking it, then feel free to check the link. In this course, I will teach you Django from beginners to advanced concepts. This is one of the courses you should consider taking in order to learn industry-related project. But what you should have in mind is that this is a slow-based course, but straight to the point, and this is because I don't want to leave anyone on the way or bore anyone trying to explain useless concepts. So it's a straightforward course, but you will learn everything you need to know about Django. So this is the system that I will be teaching you how to build a learning management system. This is a fully functional system with both PayPal and Stripe payment gateways integrated. Just take a look at the demo. Enjoy. Hi, and welcome back. As I told you earlier, that we will be building our learning management system. So let's start by opening PyCharm, then click New Project. Then on top here, select the location of your project, or you can call it directory. Next, choose Environment, Virtual NV. Lastly, choose Base Interpreter. Then create your project. Wait for it to be initialized and your virtual environment to be created. Now, it has been created successfully. Open Terminal, then type pip install Django, then enter. Now, as you can see, successfully installed Django 5.0. You can also check the current version of Django installed by typing Django-admin-version. And as you can see, 5.0. We will be starting our LMS project, then go ahead and create or start our home app also. So without wasting much time, let's go ahead and create our project. Open Terminal, then type go-admin, start project, followed by the name of your project. In my case, I will call it PICE2D, then space followed by period. Hit enter, and as you can see, our project has been successfully created here. Let's now run the server and test it in our browser. So pythonmanage.py run server, then hit enter. And as you can see, the development server has been started at localhost port 8000. Click on this link and it will open on your default browser. And as you can see, everything is working well. Now let's create our first app called Home. So let's open another instance of PowerShell. Then type pythonmanage.py start app home. Remember, home is the name of our app. Hit enter. Now it has been successfully created. Next, we need to register it in installed apps. So open settings file, then scroll to installed apps section. Then down here, let's add home.apps.homeconfig. Remember, this home config is this class here inside apps file of our home app. Now that's done. Let's now write our first view function, openviews.py file. Down here, let's define a function called index that will take in request as an argument. And it will return HTTP response with an H1 message of hello world. And as you can see here, there is a warning error saying unresolved reference HTTP response. That's because we need to import that before when can be able to use it. Let's do that here from Django.http import HTTP response. Next step is to map this view function to its URL path or route. So to do that, we need to create a file inside our home app called urls.py file. Then we need to import path. So from Django.urls, import path. Then URL patterns. Set it to a list. Inside here, let's now map our index function path, then empty string. We are leaving it empty because this will be our index. Then views.index. And lastly, name Margins index. Don't forget to add a comma at the end. Let's now import our views file so that we can be able to use it inside this file. Top here from .import views. Now we are done with this file. The next thing is to tell Django about this URLs file we just created inside Home app. So let's do that. So open the main urls.py file inside py_study directory. Then first, let's delete all these comments to make this file clean. Now this better. First, we need to add include here as the second import, then add comma here, then path, followed by empty string, then include home.urls. Then remember to add a comma here. Now let's check if our server is still running. Yes, it's running okay. Go to the browser now. Let's now refresh this page and we get hello world. I want us to start implementing this lovely HTML and Bootstrap template. But before we can do that, let's first set up templates and static files, directories. It's important to do that to avoid running into errors later in your project. Now, open settings file, then scroll to templates section. Then inside here, we need to set the path to templates directory. I want it to be in the root directory here. So inside here, write base_dir / then templates as a string. We are creating our directory in base directory. That's what's denoted by base_dir. Now let's create templates directory. Right click on pyschool and click new directory, then call it templates. Now we are done with that. Let's also set up static. So scroll over here. Then after static URL, add static root. /static/ also add static files dirs. This will be a list, then base_dir / static. Let's also create static directory. Right click on PySchool, then click new directory and name it static. Now from the HTML template we will be using, let's copy all the static files. Those are CSS, images, JavaScript, and fonts. So open assets and copy all this. Go back to PyCharm and paste it in static directory, or you can call it static folder. It's always good to copy all your static files at once to avoid making mistakes or omitting other files. we will be implementing our HTML templates. So let's open views file inside Home app. Then here in our index function, instead of returning an HTTP response, let's now return render function. And it will take in request as its first positional argument, followed by template name home/index.html. Our index file will be stored inside templates folder, but inside another folder called home. I like grouping all my template files based on the name of their app. So inside templates folder, let's create a new directory called home. Now we can create our index.html file inside this home folder. Let's just have an h1 with the message, "This is home," just to test it. Go to the browser and refresh the page. And we gear the message, "This is home," meaning our template is being rendered quite okay. Now let's implement the real template. Open this HTML template inside another code editor. I'm opening mine inside Sublime Text. Then open this file, index.html. Now copy everything from this file and go back to PyCharm. Here, delete everything on this file and paste what you just copied from Sublime Text. Back to the browser, then refresh this page. And everything is okay, but the styling is not working. So let's fix that next. Go back to index.html file. At the beginning of the file, use templating tags, the load static like this. And scroll to where we have link our CSS files here. Then first, let's check our static folder and see how our subdirectories are structured. And as you can see, our CSS folder is inside static folder. So here, let's remove from here static and assets, then opening templating tags, followed by static. Then let's wrap this inside parenthesis, then closing templating tags. This is how we reference our static files in Django. We need to do the same to all CSS files. Let me do this faster. Then I will be back. Now that's done, open the browser, then let's refresh this page. And as you can see, CSS is now working well. Let's now go back to PyCharm and also do the same to JavaScript files. Scroll to where JS files start and do the same as CSS. JS is also done. Go back to browser and test, refresh the browser, and JavaScript is also working. Let's go back to PyCharm again and deal with images now. Look for all images and reference them the same way we did for CSS and JS files. I think we are now done. Let's go back to the browser and see it's now working also. But it seemed I missed this. Let me check. I think everything is done now, and I will test it in the browser. And as you can see, all is working now. We will be creating and extending base.html file. In Django, we use a base file to store all the repeating sections of a template like navigation menu that will recur in all pages. So we will store it in a base file and later inherit it in any specific file. So let's create a file called base.html inside templates directory, just inside templates, not any other subdirectory. So create HTML file called base, then remove all these startup code by PyCharm. Now, go back to index.html file, then select everything from the top of the file. Select until this section here. Now cut the selected section and open base file. Then on top here, don't forget to load static. After loading static, paste the copied code here. Then down here, using templating tags, open block content. This is where template inheritance will take place. Then end block. Now go back to index file and just after where you have loaded static, use templating tags and have block content. Then scroll to where the footer section starts. Then select everything to the end of the file. Cut the selected section and make sure you end block section. Now go back to base file and paste the copied code just after where you have ended your block section. Now our base.html file is done, but we still need to do one thing to index file, and that is telling index file about base file. That's inheritance. So back to index file. At the beginning of the file, make sure it's the beginning of the file, extends base.html. Like this. All is done now. Now check if the server is still running. Go back to the browser now and refresh the page. And as you can see, everything is still working fine. Now we have created a base file that will be used in various pages of this project and avoid repetition. We will be creating this other pages for our LMS project as it is in this template. As you can see currently, we have just created only this home page here. So we will be creating this extra pages, courses page, contact page, and instructors page for now. We will deal with others later. Like all these, privacy policy. Now let's start with this page here, courses page. So back to PyCharm, first close this pages. We are done with them. Now expand home app, then open views file. Then down here, let's define a function called courses. And this function will take in request and will return render with request as the first argument. Then template name home/courses.html. Now let's create this HTML file. Right-click on Home folder inside Templates directory and create new HTML file called Courses. Next, we need to map this Courses function with its URL routing. So open URLs file inside Home app. Then make sure there is this comma here. Now, path then courses. Meaning that URL root will be /courses, then views.courses, and lastly name your courses. Then comma after this. Now, let's go back to courses.html file. Then remove all this code here, and let's first start by inheriting base file. So extends base.html. Secondly, let's load static. Then opening block content code, block content, and end block. Remember, this is the section where the page specific content will fall. Let's go to the browser and test this and see. We should have the header and footer section by now because that's what the base file holds. So back to the browser, then /courses. And as you can see, it's loading header and footer as expected. But as you can see in our template, we need to have our courses page to look like this here. So let's do that. Open the template location. I open mine in Sublime Text. Then open courses.html file. Then copy from just where the header section ends until just before the beginning of footer section. Copy that and go back to courses.html file. Now paste that here inside block content section that's done. Next, we just need to head back to the browser and test this. Refresh the page And now everything is fine except the images. So let's fix that. First, make sure you scroll to the beginning of the file. Then make sure you have this line here, load static. If that's okay, then let's go ahead and reference the images well. Here, let's remove this, then using templating tags, write static, then wrap this on quotes, then close the tags. Now do the same to all the images available in this file. I believe all the images are now referenced well. Let's go back to the browser and test this. Let's refresh the page and see. Nothing is working. Why is this not working? Let's go back to PyCharm and check our static directory structure. We might be missing something. And yes, our images are stored in a folder or directory called images, and we need to add that to all our referencing. Let's just test it with once and see. Add here, images, slash, and see. Now back to the browser, refresh the page, and now the image has been loaded okay. So it was just the issue of file structure and correct referencing. So let's do the same to all the images again. Add images slash. I will just use find and replace, all just to save time. But for you, you can just do it one by one. Now let's go back to the browser and check. And now it's working well except this one here. Let's fix it. This is the one. It added an extra images slash when we replaced all. Remove that. Test it again, and now all is well. We are now done with courses page. Next is contact page, so close courses file. Now back to views file, let's now define a function called contact that will take in request. And will return render with the first argument as request. Then next is template name home/contact.html. Now let's create this HTML template. Inside Home, create new HTML file called contact. Now to URLs file, let's map the contact function. So path, then contact, followed by views.contact. And lastly, name equals sign contact. And don't forget to end it with a comma. Now open contact.html file. Then remove all the startup code. Now let's extend base.html. Followed by load static. Open the block content. Lastly, let's end block. Now, we need to get this file here. So open your HTML template location, then open contact file. Now scroll to where the header section ends. Now select from this point to here. Just before the beginning of footer section. Copy the selected code. Now go back to PyCharm. Now paste the copied code inside block section here. Now that's done. Let's just fix the image here. Back to the browser, navigate to /contact, and as you can see, it's working perfectly fine. Lastly, we will create this page here, instructors. So back to PyCharm, open views file. Down here, define a new function called instructors, and it will take in request. Now return render with request as the first argument. Next is template name equals sign home/instructors.html. Now create that file. Next, let's map the function to its URL. So path, then instructors, followed by views.instructors, and lastly name equals sign instructors. Next, open instructors.html file, then do away with all this. Now extends base.html. Then load static. Now block content. And lastly, end block. Now open your HTML template and copy from just after header section to just before the beginning of header section. Back to PyCharm. Now paste inside block content section. Now let's fix all the images. So opening templating tags, then static, then images, then wrap this and close the tags. Do this to all images. Now, I believe everything is done. Let's go back to the browser and navigate to /instructors. And everything is okay except these two images. But I noticed it also had this issue in our initial template here. Let's fix it. It's John and Ricky. So let's copy the correct referencing here. The search John. Now let's replace here with what we copied. Let's scroll to Ricky also. Now replace this also. Back to the browser, refresh the... That's it for this video. See you in the next one. We will be downloading and making installation of our database manager. That is PostgreSQL. So let's open our browser, then search PostgreSQL. Now click here. On this page, click download. Then scroll down here and choose your platform, be it Linux, Mac OS, Windows, BSD, or even Solaris. I will click my platform here, Windows, and you will see here Windows Installer. Now click here, download the installer. Then I will click here on the latest version, and on my platform Windows x86 64-bit. You will be redirected to this page where you will see this message. Your download will begin in a few seconds, and now start downloading. Just wait for it to complete the download. Now the download is complete. Click Open, then click Next. This is the installation directory. Click Next again. Make sure the first two boxes are checked. PostgreSQL Server and pgadmin 4. The other two, Stack Builder and Command Line Tools. Then click Next and Next again. Here, you need to set your password. Please provide the password for the super user Postgres. By default, Postgres is the super user, but you can change it if you want. But for now, we will leave it as it is. Now set your password here. Repeat the password again. Then click Next. Then this is the default port 5432. Click Next. Then you can choose your locale here. I will leave it as default. Then click Next again. Next again. And setup is now ready to begin installing. Click Next and the installation will begin. The installation will take some few minutes. Now that we have installed PostgreSQL successfully, let's now open it and create our first database. So open Windows Explorer or search bar and search pgadmin 4. Click here, then wait for pgadmin to open. Now it has opened. Click here on servers and you will be prompted to enter your password. Enter the password you set when you were installing Postgre. Then mark this box, Save Password. That's not mandatory, it's up to you. Then by default, there is one database called Postgre. So to create your own database, right-click here on Databases, then hover on Create, then click Database. Then here, input your database name. Let's call it PY Study. Then let's leave the default owner to be Postgre. Then you can put comments here. It's up to you. Then click Save, and your database will be created. And now here is the database we just created. To view tables in our database, click on Schemas, then look for tables. If we click this now, then we get nothing since we currently don't have any tables in our database. That's basically the easiest way you can create a database in PostgreSQL. Hi and welcome back. Now that we have created our database, we now need to make a settings to allow us connect to the database. So open Settings file, then scroll to Database section. Here in Engine, replace SQLite 3 with PostgreSQL. Then next is name, and it's this one here. Then one we created, Pistity. So Pistity. Next is user. And user is this one here. Postgre. So Postgre. Next is password, and that's the password you set up during Postgre installation. Next is host, and I'm using localhost. And lastly, port. And you remember during installation, I told you default port is 5432. Now our database settings are done, but before we can be able to use PostgreSQL with Django, we need to install a package called PSYQPG2. So open terminal, then pip install PSYQPG2. Now the installation is done. Let's run server and see if everything is okay. And all is well. Let's now run migrations so that our tables are deployed to our database. So Python manage.py migrate. And our migrations are being run now. They are done. If we can now open our database and check, first right-click on Pistity, then click Refresh so that you can refresh the database. Now click Schema, then Tables. And as you can see now, we have some tables in our database. That's the result of the migration we just ran. Now let's clean the terminal and rerun our server again to see if everything is still working fine and all is well. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next video. Hi and welcome back. In this video, we will be creating a super user. That's an admin to be precise. So let's open terminal, then Python manage.py create super user. And create super user should be one word. Then give it a username. I will give it admin. Next is email. Put your email. Next is password. Set up your password, then password again. Then if your password is too common like mine, you will get this warnings. I will forgo them for now and put yes, and super user will be created successfully. Now, if you go to PG admin and open tables, then auth user table, then click this icon here, view data. you will see we now have one user in our table, which is admin. Let's also open admin panel and check it from there. So go to browser and navigate to admin URL. Log in with the credentials you just created when you created super user. Now click users. And as you can see, we have one user who is an admin. That's it for this video. See you in the next one. Hi, and welcome back. In this video, we will be creating accounts app so that we can start working on user registration and authentication. So open terminal, then python manage.py start app accounts. And here is our app. Hi and welcome back. In this video, we will start working with registering and authentication users. So let's open views file inside accounts app. Then let's define a function called register that takes in request. And it returns render with request as the first argument, then template name =, add, we will store it inside registration folder. So registration/register.html. Now let's create the registration folder, then register.html file. Now we need to map our register function with its URL root. So the first thing is to create URL file inside accounts app. Create new Python file called URLs. On top here, we need to import path from Django.urls import path. Then URL patterns. Then path followed by register. Then views.register. And lastly, name =, register. Then let's import views. So from .import views. And this comma should be outside here. Sorry for that. Now open register.html file, then remove all this code. Now we need to extend base file, so extends base.html. Then load static. Opening block content. And lastly, let's end block. Now, like we did to other pages, open the HTML theme on another code editor. Then open register.html file. Then copy all the code from just at the end of the header section to just before the beginning of footer section. Now, go back to PyCharm, paste the copied code into block content section. Now that's done. Open browser and navigate to /accounts/register. And we have a 404 error. I think this is because we forget to include our account's URL file in the main URLs file. So let's open our main URLs file inside pistity directory. Now add another path. Then this will go to account/. then include accounts.urls. Let's also register our Accounts app in Settings. So in Installed Apps, add accounts.apps.accounts.config. I believe we are now done. Let's go back to browser and refresh this. We still get a 404 error. And here in PyCharm it says not found /accounts/register. That means we are missing a trailing slash in our URLs. Let's check. And yes, we forgot a slash here. Now, reload the server. Back to the browser and refresh the page. And at last, we have our register page working fine. Let's now go back to PyCharm. Close all these files and left with only this too. Now open register file and add some few things. Let's add the name attribute to all these fields. So here name =, email. Here name =, username. Here name =, first name. Here name =, last name. Here name =, password. And here name =, password 2. Now we are done with this file for now. Let's go to Views file and work with the function. So here we first need to check if requested method is post. So if request.method is equal to post. If that condition is true, then we get the form values. Else, meaning if the condition is false, we return the user to registration page. Now let's get the form values. First name =, request.post. Then inside parenthesis, we put first name, last name =, request.post. Last name. Username =, request.post. Username. Email =, request.post email. Password =, request.post password. And lastly, password 2 =, request.post password 2. You might be wondering where I'm getting these values here. These are the form values in register file here. Now let's create the user. So user =, user.objects.create_user, then in brackets, first name =, first name, last name =, last name, username =, username, email =, email. Let me break this line here first. Then lastly, password =, password. We don't need to send password 2 to database. That's just for validation purposes. Now let's save user. So user.save. And if you hover on this user here, you will see the error unresolved reference user. That's because we need to import it before we can use. If you are using PyCharm, Then you can just click here and it will be automatically be imported for you. Here it is. But if it doesn't automatically add this line, then make sure you add it manually. Check the server if it's still running. Yes, it is. Let's now go back to register file and finish it up. First, we need to add action here. And we will get this from this function here, register. So action is templating tags, then URL register. Then down here, we need to protect our form from cross-site forgery attacks. So CSRF underscore token. And this is something you should note and keep in mind. Every time you are submitting a form in Django, you must add this line CSRF token. I think we also forget to add method to our form, so let's do that. So method equals signpost. Now back to the browser, refresh this page. Now fill this form. Now submit and see. Oops, we get an error saying that accounts.views.register did not return an HTTP response. Let's first check in the admin if the form was submitted. Open admin to refresh the page. And as you can see, the form was successfully submitted, but there is an issue with return statement. So let's fix that. Open views file, then just after save here, return redirect and redirect to index page. And we need to import redirect before we can use it. So click here and it will automatically import. Here is it. You can also add manually. Check the server. Now heads to the browser and refresh the page. Now fill this form again. Now it's filled, submit. And the form is submitted successfully and we are redirected to index page just like we set it here. Let's also check it in admin panel just to confirm that our form was submitted successfully. Refresh this page and here is our entry. In the next video, we will be working with a form validation. That is it for this video. Thank you for being with me until the end. See you in the next one. Hi and welcome back. We were to start working on validation, but I just realized we need messaging first. That is because we need to display messages to know if validation is working well. So let's do that on this video. So let's just close this files. Now, open settings file. After that, just scroll to the bottom of the file. Then add message underscore tags equal sign, then inside curly braces, message dot error, colon, then danger like this. Now, scroll to the top of the file so that we can import some modules. So, from django.contrib.messages, import constants as messages. No, we are done with settings. Next, we need to create an HTML file to hold our messages. So first, let's create an extra folder called partials inside templates. Then inside partials, let's create an HTML file called messages. Now delete all this startup code. Then if messages to check if there are messages, also make sure you end if statement. So if there are messages, then let's use for statement to loop through them. So for message in messages, then end for here. Then here let's write some HTML code. So let's have a div with ID of message and class of container. Then inside this div, let's have another div with class of alert, the hyphen. Then inside double curly braces, we will get our message tags. So message dot tags. Here we're getting if the message is an error or success. Then alert dismissible. Then text is center and role =aliart. Inside this div, let's use templating tags and get message level. So if message dot level is equal to, and remember we set our default message level inside settings file to error. So default message level dot error, else double curly braces, message dot tags, pipe title, then endif. Then get the looped message here. We are now done with this file. Hi and welcome back. In this video, we will be working on validating our forms. So let's open Views file. Then in our register function, first let's do away with this for now. Now let's start by checking if password matches. So if password = password2, then let's pass that for now. Else, if the two passwords doesn't match, then let's display an error message. So messages dot error. Then request. And second positional argument is the message itself. Password do not match. And as you can see here, unresolved reference messages, that's because we have not imported it. So you can just click here, import this name, then choose the third one here, Django.contrib.messages. And as you can see, it has been imported on top here. You can also write it manually as above. Just make sure you have that import. Then after that, if the password do not match, then we need to redirect the user to register page again. Now, if the password matches, then we can go ahead and check the username also. So if user.objects.filter, and we are checking if username = username exits. So if username exits in our database, then we need to get the error message. Messages.error, then request, then the actual message. Username has been taken, choose another one. Then return redirect to register. Else. If everything is okay, then let's go ahead and validate email. So if user.objects.filter, email = email dot exists. If email exists, then let's get the error message. Messages.error, then request and message. Email already exists, choose another one. Then also redirect to register. Now, if all validations passes and are okay, then we need to save the user to database. So user = user.objects. Create _ user. Then first name equals sign first name, last name equals sign last name, username equals sign username, email equals sign email, and password equals sign password. Then save the user. So user.save. Then after saving the user, we need to display a success message. So messages.success, then request, and the message registration success. You can now log in. The return redirect to login page so that the user can sign in. But remember, we haven't created the login function nor the template up to this far, so we will just get an error, but don't worry about that. We will fix it in the next video. Now open register.html file and include messages file here also. It's running okay, but here we have a PEP8 error saying indentation is not a multiple of 4. You can just fix that by clicking Control plus Alt plus L all at once, and it will reformat your code. Next, go to your browser. Now navigate to register. First, let's check the password validation. So just fill this form randomly. Then here in password, let's choose different passwords. Now submit the form, and we get the error, password do not match. I don't know why we are getting this word danger, but we will look into that in a moment. Next, let's check email validation. So let's go to admin dashboard and copy an existing email address. Back to registration form, paste it in email field. Now fill this other fields randomly. After filling them, now submit the form and see. And we get the error that email already exists. Let's also check for the username validation. Just input any email. Then username, let's use admin since we already have an admin. Now fill all this. After that, submit the form, and we get the error username has been taken. Choose another one. Now we have confirmed that validation are working fine. Let's now register a totally new user with correct entries and see. Email, kibofiel@gmail.com. Username, Ofiel, first name, last name. Password, confirm password. Now submit the form, and we get an error that no reverse match for login. That's because we have not yet created that. Remember, I told you about that. But if we open admin panel, then refresh the page, then you will find that our entry was entered successfully, and here is the user. That's it for this video. See you in the next one. Hi, and welcome back. In this video, we will be working on user login. So let's open Views, File inside Accounts app. Then down here, let's define a function called login that takes in request, and it will return render with request as first argument. Then template name is equal to registration/login. Now let's create that template inside registration login.html. Now let's map the function in URLs. Path, then login, views.login, and lastly name equals sign login. We are done with that. We now head to our HTML theme that I opened in Sublime Text. Then let's copy only the form part. Just after header section to just before the start of footer. Now let's head to PyCharm and open login file. Do away with all this startup files. Now extends base.html followed by load static, then block content, lastly end block. Now paste what you just copied inside block section here. That's done. Head now to your browser and navigate to accounts/login. And here is our page. Now back to login file. Action will be templating tags, then URL login. Then since this is a form, then we need to secure it with rsref token. Then on top here, just after this header, let's include our messages file. Now let's go back to login function and complete working on it. First, let's check the request method. So if request.method equals signpost, so if requested method is post, then username equals sign request.post username. You can change this to email, and here also, that will allow you to only log in with email instead of username. I will use username. Next is password equals sign request.post password. Now let's authenticate the user. User equals sign auth.authenticate. Username equals sign username and password equals sign password. And here we have unresolved reference auth. Just click here to automatically import. And here it is. Now let's continue with our function. Let's now check if user exists. If user is not none : auth.login request and user, then return redirect user to dashboard. So if everything is okay and user exists, then we will log in user and redirect them to dashboard. Else, messages.error, request with message, invalid credentials. Then return redirect login.
So if the requested method is post, then we will run authentication process. Else we will return the user to login page.
Next, let's create this login page. So let's first define a function here called dashboard. That will take in request and return render request and template name of dashboard. Now let's map that to its URL root. Path dashboard, then views.dashboard, and lastly name equals sign dashboard. Now that's done. Let's now create that HTML template. Right-click on registration, the new HTML file, and call it dashboard. Now let's just give it an H1 with the message. This is a user dashboard. Let's now go to the browser, now navigate to registration page. Let's fill this form fast. Now submit. And we are redirected to the login page with success message. Registration success, you can now log in. Let's now log in. The username was testasa2. Password. Now log in. And all is well, we are successfully redirected to dashboard. If we go back to login page and try login in a random user like this, you can see we get an error message, invalid credentials. That is it with this video. See you in the next one. Hi and welcome back. Today we will be working with how to reset password. So the first thing we will be doing, set up mailing service, and we will be using Gmail SMTP service. So let's open settings file. Then scroll to the bottom of the file. Now let's have our SMTP settings here. So email use TLS =, true next. Email host =, smtp.gmail.com next. Email port =, 587. Email host user. This is your Gmail address. And lastly, email host password. Remember, this is not you Gmail password, but app password. Now we are done with SMTP settings. The next thing now is to create 4 HTML templates, namely password reset form, password reset confirm, password reset complete, and lastly, password reset done, password reset form, password reset confirm, password reset complete, and lastly, password reset done. Let's now install Crispy Bootstrap 5 because that's what we will be using in this 4 files. So pip install Crispy-Bootstrap 5. What's the error? Here is Crispy, not crispy. Now hit enter. And as you can see, it has been successfully installed. Now let's head to settings file and add some this to installed apps. Now add crispy_forms and also crispy_bootstrap 5. Now down here, let's add crispy allowed template pack. And this is Bootstrap 5. And also crispy template pack =, Bootstrap 5 also. And as you can see, we have unresolved error here, meaning we need to import this package. Just click here for automatic import, and here is the import here. If there is an issue with your import, then just write it automatically. Now we are done with settings file. Now let's deal with password reset form. Do away with this code here. Now go to your HTML theme and copy the provided file. Open password reset form, then copy everything from this file. Now back to PyCharm. Inside this file, extends base.html, then load static next block content. Now paste the copied code. Now end block. Now open main URLs file inside PIstudy directory. Then let's add another URL pattern. Path accounts / include django.contrib.auth.urls. Now let's go back to browser and navigate to accounts / password _reset /. And now we have this lovely page here, but if you can clearly check it, you will realize there is no form field. Now let's close URL file. Top here, let's load crispy form tags. Then just after form, let's have a div with class form group MB5. Then label double curly braces, then field dot label underscore tag. Then let's have a paragraph with form pipe crispy. Now back to the browser and refresh the page, and we get the error. Crispy form tags is not registered library. It's actually supposed to be crispy forms tags. So let's add S. Now back to the browser and refresh the page to see the next error that we will get. This time round, we get OS error. This is because of the pipe character. Let's do away with that now. Refresh and all is well. Let's now finish up this file by adding CSRF token here. And lastly, let's include our messages file to help us in messaging alert. That's done. Let's close this file and go to the next file. Now let's go to Sublime Text and Copy file from password reset confirm. Now back to PyCharm, let's do away with this code first. Now extends base.html. Then load static. Now block content. Now paste all the code you copied from Sublime Text. Lastly, end block. Now top here, let's load crispy forms tags. Then just after opening form tag, you need to protect your form with CSRF token. Then let's just copy the next code from password reset form file. This is just to save time. So copy this div, now paste it here. Now we are done with this file. So let's close it. Next file is password reset done. So first let's extends base.html. Next let's load static. Then block content. Now end block. And here, let's load crispy forms tags. Now let's copy the contents of this file from original theme. Now paste it here. We are also done with this file. Before we close it, let's copy these lines of code here. Now close it. Let's now deal with the last file. Password reset complete. Just paste what you just copied here. Then end block. Now go to the original theme here. Then open password reset complete file. Now copy everything here. Back to PyCharm. Paste everything here. Now all files are done. But before we can test it, let's also include messages file inside password reset complete file. Let's now reset our server. Now let's to the browser and test this. First, let me open my Gmail. Then let me copy this Gmail address and use to register an account. Back to our system, let's register an account with this email. Username Charlotte. First name Charlotte. Last name Mina. then set password, password again. Now submit the form to register user. And the user is registered successfully. Now let's log in. And now we are logging in successfully. By default, we are redirected to profile page, and so far we haven't created that page. We will do that next, or we will just change the default landing page to another page now that the registration is done. Let's now reset the password and see. Navigate to account/password reset/. Then let's put the Gmail account I used to register an account. Now click send confirmation email. And now our form was submitted successfully and redirected to password reset done page. And as you can see the message, I've mailed you instructions for resetting your password. Now, if I open my Gmail account, you can see I have a new email here. Password reset on localhost port 8000. Let's open and see. And now we get this message saying, you are receiving this email because you requested a password reset for your user account, and here is the link to reset your password. Click, and you are redirected to this password reset page. The form is not well formatted. That's just CSS. We will not indulge on that now, so you will get this instructions on how to reset your password. Let's do that. Password. Password again. Submit. And now we get these validation errors. Let's now do that again by adhering to all validation rules. Now submit. And now password has been changed. You may go ahead and log in now. Let's do that. Login page. Username Charlotte. Then our password. Now login, and it's now successful. That's one method of resetting password with Django. Thanks for watching until the end. See you in the next video.